Hi everybody, welcome back to Mummy's Love. You're once again with Shehnaz today, and I'm going to be discussing about some of the common myths and fears that most couples have before going in for an IVF cycle. The idea of this video stuck upon me when I was talking to one of my close friends who's been advised to go for an IVF cycle. She was really afraid, and the fear was so overwhelming that she was denying herself the chance of having a baby. Well, that's true for most of us that have to go for an IVF cycle. That happened to me as well. If you haven't seen my IVF success story, I'm going to link it up on the cards above, and you will realize when you see that I almost denied going in for an IVF cycle for a year, and when I really went for it, I realized it was not as bad as people spoke about it or as much as being written about it. It's true that IVF is expensive and its success rate is uncertain, but eventually it's just about taking chances, and the only risk is emotional and financial, and the gains are completely unlimited in case it works for you. Unlike what's mostly written about IVF, it does not have any medical consequences, no pain, no pure operative procedures, and it's important that these myths and these fears be addressed before you go in for an IVF cycle, and it's important because that'll help you to take well-informed decisions. Let us start by addressing a few of these fears, and I hope that they will help you change your perspective, especially when it comes from a person who's got first-hand experience on an IVF cycle. So fear number one, injections. Most women are really scared of the injections that they have to undergo. I was really reading a fascinating article a few days back where a lady who had gone numerous IVF cycles had collected all the needles and all the syringes that she took, and she finally succeeded in having a baby girl. So the picture is like she has her little kind of 2 or 3 month old daughter in the center, and she's made heart out of those needles. And that was really heartening to see that how much courage it takes to go through so many IVF cycles but eventually be successful. Guys, honestly, a lot of women scare injections, and so did I at the beginning, but it's just a little prick that's not going to last beyond 3 seconds. So you gotta be brave and just remember one thing and keep telling yourself that emotionally. This is what I used to do. It's all about positive thinking, that every injection is bringing you closer to your goal, is getting you closer to your baby. And honestly, IVF injections are not those really huge ones like the 2 ml, 5 ml injections. Most of the IVF hormones would come in pre-filled syringes which have really tiny needles which you will have to inject in the lining of your stomach. That is something that you can do on your own. Those injections don't hurt that much, and the needles are really tiny. They don't hurt as much as people talk about. So even if you have to take injections, that's part of the process. You gotta be courageous, and if you fear injection, it's time you gather some courage. Having a baby or going through a C-section will eventually require a lot more physical pain than taking IVF injections, and maybe a few years down the line when you have children, you won't even recall that pain anymore. That won't matter. Fear number two. A lot of people think that egg collection procedure during IVF is very painful and requires operative procedure. That's what I thought, and that's what I asked my doctor when I first went in for a counseling visit. Guys, that's not true. This does not require any particular operative procedure or requires you to undergo a knife. It's a very simple procedure where a catheter is kind of inserted through your uterus, and a machine is kind of used to suction your follicles, which are ready for fertilization at that point in time. The entire procedure does not take more than 20 minutes and is done with the help of ultrasound machine, and is completely non-abrasive and does not cause any pain thereafter. Just as a precaution, your doctor will anyways give you some pain medications after the procedure. So this does not require any kind of operative procedure and is completely painless. You won't even know when it is done. Fear number 3. A lot of women are scared about the side effects and the after effects of all the hormones that you'll be taking during your IVF cycle. I'd like to mention that I had undergone about 4 to 5 IUI cycles and several other cycles where I was given clomid or clomiphene to kind of trigger ovulation, to grow eggs in my body. And I will be honest that most of the clomid medications that I took kind of made me feel more depressed and made me feel bloated and had more side effects that on my body than what the IVF medication had. There's so much grapevine about IVF medications making women crazy, making them depressed, inducing mood swings in them, but that's not true completely. To be honest, all the medications that I took during my IUI and other cycles were more harmful and actually did more harm to my body than what IVF shots did. I feel the IVF medications were more easily absorbed by my body, and I did not feel any kind of side effects that I had kind of would have normally felt with clomid and other medications. In fact, on the contrary, my body was absolutely normal, not bloated. I had no mood swings. I was much happier and I felt a whole lot better with those IVF medications. So that is completely untrue, and that is something that you need to research more before you make up your mind that's going to be one reason that's going to stop you from going for an IVF cycle. Another thing I'm going to tell you, which is very interesting, that most of the IVF medications have a lot of estrogen. And estrogen is one hormone that makes you more happier, more peppier. And seriously, that's how I felt during all the time that I was taking injections. It was not that bad as it's been kind of publicized or as being heard. Fear number 4. Some women are afraid that they might end up having multiple pregnancies, and most IVFs result in twins and triplets. That's not exactly true, guys. I believe only about 30% of the IVF pregnancies end up having twins and triplets. I have twins myself, and I can tell you that even if you have twins, it's a wonderful experience bringing up 2 babies, and there's absolutely no reason of being fearful about it. So your doctor definitely knows how well or how receptive your body is going to be, and accordingly induce the number of fertilized embryos in your body. So if you're worried, talk to your doctor. Maybe you would like to restrict the implantation of embryos to 1 or 2 embryos only, but that shouldn't be one reason that should hold you back for going in for an IVF. Who doesn't love babies? Everyone loves babies. Fear number 5. A lot of women are scared that when they go under the sedation or anesthesia, they may not wake up again. That's completely untrue. Folks, any good fertility specialist is going to have a complete team of anesthetists, a senior or junior anesthetist when they do a procedure like that. And if you have for any reason any other medical complication, they will be very, very careful of that. Nothing of that sort happens. The anesthesia or the sedation does not last longer than an hour or so. Myth number 6. Many of the people think that if the IVF cycle fails, it means they're going to be childless for entire life, and they're petrified of this. Well, a part of it is true. Failing one IVF cycle does not mean that you're going to remain childless for life. Sometimes it doesn't work in 1 cycle, 2 cycles, or 3 cycles. I've known people who've had more than even 5 cycles and have been successful in having a baby. Sometimes it does require more trials, more testing of your willpower, and eventually you might be successful in having a baby. No matter what the outcome is, doing IVF will at least leave you with peace of mind that you've given it your best shot. That's also very important. Fear number 7, financial risk. That is true. IVF is expensive. It requires you to shed a lot of money, and somebody who is poor and may not be able to shed money for another IVF cycle will always be under that constant stress that if it doesn't work, they may not even have a second chance. So that's where, guys, it's important that you be positive, and I'm certain that God is going to be kind enough to help you in your very first cycle. Fear number 7. A lot of people fear that the children that they're going to have through IVF will have birth defects or anomalies. Well, let me tell you that IVF is generally done by a complete team of doctors, which also includes an embryologist who checks for the quality of the embryo that's been implanted back into your womb. And for a larger reason there, I could tell you that the quality of the embryo that they will be implanting back, you will have a lot less risk of having any anomalies in the baby. There have been a lot of scientific studies regarding this, and that has assured that there is no strong correlation between birth defects and IVF children. However, a lack of knowledge about this is still the reason why most people think that IVF children can have birth defects. That's completely untrue. Fear number 8. A lot of conventional couples and families still believe that IVF is unnatural and people are against it. But that's not true. IVF is completely natural. The child that's being born to you has your genes. It's just that the environment of fertilization for the child is changing. A lot of women also fear that taking all these medications can lead to ovarian cancer in the long run. Guys, there's been really no such medical scientific study that has proven that so far. So a lot of these fears are completely myths and are baseless. Some people also fear that going for an IVF means that a lot of eggs will be retrieved from a woman's body at one point in time, and they're going to eventually run out of eggs, leaving them no options but to go in for an egg donor. Well, let me tell you that every woman is born with a finite number of eggs in her body, and until the woman menopauses, that reserve egg certain remains. IVF basically only triggers the body to produce and grow those eggs which can be retrieved for fertilization. You are not going to run out of eggs, and that's completely baseless. So friends, I hope that few of the myths and fears that we've addressed regarding going in for an IVF cycle today would have addressed your concerns and apprehensions. As a person who's personally undergone IVF, I'd like to tell you that I could have probably gone for it a lot earlier if I had somebody giving me this advice about 3 years back, and life could have been much less stressful and much more enjoyable for me. So don't hesitate for going for an IVF, guys. You are just getting one step closer to your success, and be strong. These little injections are not going to make much difference to you in the long run, and eventually when you'll have children and you look at them smiling and happy, you will not even realize what you've gone through, and all those bad experiences are going to get washed away. So I wish you all the best and all the good luck for your IVF cycle. Let me know if there's something else you want me to talk about or address in my next video regarding IVF. I will link above my IVF success story and also a few tips for undergoing an IVF cycle that can make it successful. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for more such videos. Take care of yourself and stay positive. Goodbye.